And through the miracle of video editing, we now have all the upper 8 pads filled with the same flute loop. Hello and welcome to the Sound Test Room. My name is Jakob, I'm your host, and you're watching a haQ attaQ episode. In this episode, we are going to cut up a sample inside Bilbao into something that I used inside the video I posted yesterday. It's a live performance where I'm using the IK Multimedia iRig Pads controller to control the pads inside Bilbao. And I got Figure backing me up with drums and bass. So this is Bilbao, we're inside KORG Gadget, and you can get Bilbao through an in-app purchase. The way Bilbao works is very much like an MPC style sampling unit. You can have a sample on each pad. You've got a pitch control, pan control, level control, playback length, and also decay of the sample. And this goes for each pad. Okay, so first we need a sample. Now the sample I used comes from Indian Emotions, a sample pack that I bought off Loop Masters some time ago. Sorry. Now I had the sample pack on an external hard drive, so I connected it up to a computer and picked out my sample. The way that I transferred the sample from my computer to my iPad was through Dropbox, so I just basically pasted this flute sample into a folder on my Dropbox account. And then I opened up Dropbox on my iPad, just press these 3 dots up here, press export, and then you get this menu. Just choose open in and it's gonna start downloading the sample. When it's done, it's gonna give you a new menu. And what I did was I sent it to Audioshare. Now there's a reason why I send it to Audioshare. The sample is in mono, and that's okay, but it's also at 24 bits at 44.1 Hz. And Gadget can't read that. It reads 16-bit files. So first we have to convert it. So go to Tools and then Convert. Now 16-bit is already chosen here, and that's what we need, so we just press Save. Now Gadget integrates audio copy and paste, but it also integrates Dropbox. So what I usually do when I've done something like this is I actually just send it back to Dropbox. So I'm gonna choose another folder, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Apps, and then I'm gonna go to Gadget, and I'm gonna choose this folder, and then press Save. It's then gonna upload the sample through Dropbox. Now, when that's done, we can go back into Gadget and start mapping our sound. So we're back inside Gadget, and we're gonna double tap the Gadget to make it larger. I'm gonna press the first sample pad, and we're gonna change the sample. Just press sample right there and go to Import, then to Dropbox, and we know that we put it in Apps, Gadget, Dropbox, EM Flute, G minor, 90 BPMs converted. So it's gonna download the sample, and when it's done, you have it in your user folder. Now I have multiple ones here because I've already done this. Now we continue to do this for the rest of the pads. And through the miracle of video editing, we now have all the upper 8 pads filled with the same flute loop. The next thing we're going to do is to assign a choke group. And the way you do that is by simply tapping a pad and then pressing the group button right there. And it's got 3 modes. It's either off, in A or B mode, so you've got 2 choke groups. And what this does is, when playing a pad, if the sample is long and you want it to be cut off when playing the next pad, something you do when you're using hi-hat samples. You've got one long open hi-hat and then one closed hi-hat, and you want the closed hi-hat to cut off the open hi-hat, so you assign them to the same choke group. That way they will cut each other off when you play them. Now comes the fun bit. So the way we go about doing this is just moving the start and length points on all of the pads, so we get individual different samples from the same loop. This one is already fixed, so let's go to number 2. Simply adjust the start point to where you want it to go, like right there. Adjust the length a little bit. And then the next one. And then you keep on doing that for all of the pads, just moving the starting point, adjusting the length, and maybe the decay. Now there is one thing I think is missing inside Bilbao, an attaQ control, because you can control the decay, the way that the sound fades out, but sometimes when chopping up samples like this and you play them rapidly, you can get some clicky noises. So KORG Gadget team, if you're watching this, an attaQ control for Bilbao would be excellent. Now, when I was done mapping out the samples for my performance, all I did was assign some reverb, and I did that using this button right here. Now you choose the FX type right there, and then you've got controls for the FX, and these changes depending on what type of effect it is. Now, since the flute sample is already in 90 BPMs, I decided to make this project that tempo. Now you can pitch each of the pads and the playback of them, and that way you can change the tempo you're playing at, but I usually go with the tempo that is already on the sample I'm using, or inside the sample I'm using. I hope you have fun sampling with Bilbao. As usual, Doug Woods, Colin Sweeney, and me, Jakob at soundteststream.com wishes you a very productive weekend. Now go finger all of your stuff and have a lot of fun doing it.